let's jump into Pride weekend across the country. I
We're
thought we
almost
got past
done.
this.
We're almost done.
It was the last weekend. I thought, you know what? Pride Month went without a hitch this year. I didn't realize just all the lefty cities had their Pride Month this weekend. So, so let's look at this. Pull this up real quick. All right. So the first video I have is actually probably the most disturbing video, and it was filmed by Timcast crew in New York. And this is exactly the opposite of this is like what we were talking about with that we're against. So So, like, this reminded me when I saw this video. Do you remember the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus about 2 years ago? They came out with the video that said, "We're coming for your children," and that's like the whole thing that it was about. And they came across as it's like we were joking, it was tongue-in-cheek humor, and now they're chanting it at Pride.
Yeah, look, I think this is demented. I think it's counterproductive. I think there's two possibilities here. One is that they're truly sick and depraved. The other is that they're like trolling the right. They're like, oh, you keep calling us groomers, so we'll like razz you by just chanting this thing. And they don't really mean it. That's what I hope they're doing. That's still not okay, but that's at least the least worst scenario than them actually just saying, we're coming for the kids. But I find this so incredibly frustrating because for decades, and I mean decades, gay people were falsely maligned as, you know, they're coming for your kids, or and statistically it's not true, right? They're not more gay people are not more likely to abuse kids. But with that stereotype, really damaging trope haunted us for decades and decades. And now they're like, ha ha ha, yeah, we're coming for your kid. No, just stop. You're literally undoing the decades of blood, sweat, and tears gay activists fought for with your, especially with the way that things can go viral now. And that these, I bet you, look, let me put it this way. I bet you if I put this video on my phone and I walked around in an average gay bar where I am in Michigan and showed this, almost everybody would be like, what the, they would be like, they would not support this, right? They wouldn't agree with this. But these fringe weirdos will go viral, give our whole community a bad name, and set back the entire progress that we've made. And I think it's so harmful. They should know. And I think they do know that this is going to get captured by somebody. It's going to go out on libs of TikTok or whatever, and it's going to go viral. And they might get the attention they ordered, but they're literally sacrificing LGBT acceptance to get it. Just to push, you know, just to troll the conservatives or whatever. I think it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's interesting because so it's interesting. I've lived in Atlanta since 2017, and I've never actually made it to the parade. I'm usually hungover because we go out partying the night before. But the festival itself, I've never seen stuff like this at the festival itself. I've gone to Nashville as well, and Nashville wasn't like this either. It seems like it's like the bigger it is, and like the bigger is the city. And Atlanta is actually the largest Pride outside of June, but it's really interesting. I don't get it, and I think it is. They're like testing the boundaries of how far they can actually go. Like in the whole like nakedness, and I guess we'll look at this and see this even more, but it's even like the nakedness of this stuff. It just doesn't help with anything.
There's nothing to do with public nudity, has nothing to do with LGBT, right? And yet they wrap that up in it. Straight people and gay people alike can be new. They're just shock trolling, I think.
Yeah. It's the opposite. So I call like the on the right, you have a lot of people that are rage are posting for rage bait. They're posting rage bait, and I think that's a little bit of what this is. They know that it's going to go viral, so they're like, hey, we can use the Streisand effect as well, and just push this, but it doesn't help acceptance. It's like the opposite, you know. It hurts you, and so it just drives a wedge deeper. But if you saw my video a couple weeks ago, that's exactly what the progress flag symbolizes.
It's so ugly. I hate it.
And it's in the chevron is literally cutting through the original LGBT flag.
And the whole
like,
point of the rainbow was that it's supposed to represent everybody. And now they have to add a stripe or a circle for every fake thing they invent. Here's what my boyfriend and I jokingly say is that you can tell the based gays by if they just have the rainbow, they don't have the progress. It's like a quiet form of protest against the wokies to just have the regular rainbow.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And then, you know, they're really based if they have the rainbow Gadsden flag.
I used to have one of those.
I actually have one. It's in the closet. So yeah, that's how you know that they're really based. And then, I mean, but even this, like, you go to New York Pride and you have Savannah Hernandez reported.
Oh, I haven't seen this one.
All the leather daddies just walking around, you know. The pups. Oh yeah, the pups.
Oh my God, I hate that. That has nothing to do with being gay. It really doesn't. Kinks are extracurricular, to quote Blair White, right? Like straight people and gay people and trans people or non-trans people, they all have kinks and fetishes and whatever. I really don't care. I'm a libertarian. Do whatever you want in your own bedroom. But don't conflate that with our inanimate characteristics we can't change, your hobbies and interests. And also, it shouldn't be too much to ask that one of two things. Either no kink at Pride, which is my preferred option. But if you are going to do kink at Pride, 18 up. Don't expose kids to sexual kinks and fetishes. It should be like something that should be the baseline that everyone just assumes we start at. These two things can't go together. But in many of these videos, we see them doing this stuff, this kink fetish display, or the partial or full nudity. I saw some full nudity today at one of them in front of children. Yeah, there you go. They're marching right down.
Here,
And unless you can guarantee, first off, I think even adults, I'm not sure they should be doing that. But unless you can guarantee me that they kept that whole audience 18 up, which I doubt they did, then that is seriously messed up. I mean, at least I guess you could say, like, if adults know there's going to be nudity and choose to go there, so be it. But most of these Pride events are not age restricted. They're open to the public. People go. There are kids around. And yet you see them doing this kink and fetish stuff. And you even see some of them arguing, like, explicitly. There's a Washington Post headline from 2021 that says something to the effect of, yes, kink belongs at Pride, and I want my kids to see it. And I'm just like,
I remember that.
I
actually did a video on that at the time. I did a video on that at the time, and I said exactly what you just said. I said either you can have kink at Pride and you can have kids, or you can have kids at Pride, but you can't have both.
How is that controversial?
I don't know. It's really interesting because I don't, like you said, I think I said this because I was on Timcast on the first. And I said this either on the main show or that it might have been in the after show because we talked a lot of LGBT issues in the after show. But I said this. I said, you know, straight people have kinks, but you don't see them like going out in the street and flaunting it. It's like it just for some reason, and it brings back like you're talking about. It brings back all the stigmas that have always been labeled on the community. So then now people are going, see, I told you this slippery slope. If you let them get married, now they're gonna have, you know, bringing it on to children. And you know, the community fought off NAMBLA one time, didn't think it was going to have to happen. The whole left is going to support an organization like that, you know?
See, I still think most people don't. I really do. But it's such a messy issue. I think it gets conflated a lot. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it, but I guess from their perspective, they view these things as related because they would say that like the shame and repression is what held them back and in their lives and forced them to be closeted and block them from being their authentic selves, and that public displays of sexuality are about rejecting that same shame and that same stigma and all these things. But it's like not all shame is bad. So the flaw, a little bit, shame is one of those things like you want to have a little bit, you don't want to have too much, and you don't want to have none, because a little bit of shame is good if it just keeps you from, acting like a fool in public. You shouldn't be ashamed about things you can't change or choose, whether that's skin color, whether that's sexual orientation, which is not a choice, whether that's having gender dysphoria, which is not something anyone would really choose. Those things you should not feel shame for because you can't help it. It's like your eye color, right? But things that you choose to do, maybe or maybe not, you feel shame for them. And so it doesn't go to say that in order to not feel shame about my LGBT identity, about who I am, I must be completely shameless about anything. That actually doesn't logically follow. And so I think the appropriate thing would be to cast away the shame for your identity and the things that you can't change, but maybe keep a little bit of it to stop yourself from, exposing yourself in public in front of children. Just a little bit.
Well, that's the question, is like, why would these adults think it was okay to walk around like that when they know that they're probably going to be
at least some of this has to be criminal activity as well.
Well, that's what people have been saying. Now, because we've seen videos. These are from Toronto Pride, but we've seen them. We've seen them in New York. We've seen what is it? This fountain. I don't have that video, but there was the fountain in New York that everybody was topless and everything. I'm like, that's illegal in New York.
It would depend on your local laws for like public indecency, but especially in the presence of minors, I would think some of that behavior would be caught up in laws. And it's another thing. We have a real problem in this country with selective justice, or like sometimes enforcement of laws and sometimes not.
Yeah.
I'm someone who's a big proponent of equality under the law. So I don't really think, for example, that having used drugs should disqualify you from gun ownership. But if it does, if that's the law, then sure as heck, that needs to apply to Hunter Biden as well.
This one, thank God for abortion. Libby nailed it. Like, God's not the one to thank for that. And why is there trans flag there? Like, there was a video that also came out that said like trans women are women, so they can get abortions. And I'm like, no, that's like not how this works.
Trans men can get abortions, I suppose.
Yeah.
So I will say this. I really take issue. I've seen Pride events in the past where they've got gun control and anti-Trump stuff, and they've got pro-abortion stuff. And setting aside your beliefs, or whether you're pro-choice or whether you're pro-life, it has nothing to do with LGBT rights. And a person who is gay or trans can look at these complex moral debates and come down on either side. And you're only isolating people from what ideally would be an apolitical and neutral cause of LGBT acceptance by conflating it with unrelated partisan issues. Right? These are like poison pills. And oh gosh, what are you putting up on the screen?
I'm trying to get it off. Did you see that video?
Yes, I did. The twerking in the underwear.
The same man did the same thing last year at Minneapolis Pride. So
he should have been banned. Whoever organizes that pride should have banned him.
No, but this is, again, this is the same thing. It's these guys are riding naked on a bike in New York City. And
next to children?
Yeah, the child joined them.
Jail.
Yeah, jail. Like straight to jail. Like jail. Do not pass go. Like straight to jail. What's the next one?
You said straight to jail, don't pass go.
There was one. So
oh my God, is that dude naked?
Oh shit.
In the pup play. Ew.
Yes. This one. Actually, shit.
They're
Okay.
always fat too. I'm just gonna say the nudists are never like thin.
No, there was this one though. This is even what this kind of encapsulates a lot of it too. Is this was at Toronto, and this child is riding in a basket for first transition related surgery program. So it's an organization that does transition related care in Toronto, and they have a child with them, and it's like, how are you not like indoctrinating children into this, like, and you're not, you're saying that you want children to go through transitions. It makes absolutely no sense.